Welcome to Banfield. 1 month into the manhunt and not a single trace of Brian laundry. How is that possible? How? Especially since his face has been plastered across every TV set across the country day after day. It led to a look-alike being cuffed and dragged out of his hotel while on a break from hiking the Appalachian Trail. And it also led to questions when police and cameras showed up this morning at a trail entrance in Connecticut. Meanwhile, the protesters, they are not letting up at the little yellow bungalow where the laundry parents live. And now Brian's father is facing a lawsuit, all because those protesters might just be getting under his skin. I am joined now by NewsNation's Brian Enton, who's outside that home. There was a lot of activity there this weekend, Brian, and it actually led to police activity, which has led to a lawsuit. So take us back to the weekend and who showed up and what they did.
Yeah, on Saturday, Ashley, there were several protesters who showed up out here. They brought more signs. Let me show you, because the sign count has really increased since I last saw you on Friday. Right here on the swell, you can see there's another sign here. What if it was Cassie? A no justice, no peace sign. This one says, better call Bertolino, which is obviously referencing the laundry family attorney, Mr. Bertolino. The dirty laundries here. They've got the laundries with the laundry basket, and then there's others. It goes kind of down the row here. But yeah, basically, the protesters got upset because over the weekend, Mr. Laundry, Chris Laundry, came out. He did not like the one sign that said, what if it was Cassie? There was another one like this one. He didn't like that one, apparently, and he took that one and brought it inside. Now, one of those protesters is actually suing Mr. Laundry, saying that he did not have the right to take that sign off of the swale.
It's interesting. I'm going to ask you about that in a second, but it just made me realize if you took it inside, did he crush it up and put it in the garbage? Because ultimately, doesn't the garbage come right back out to the front street and you'd be able to see if he was throwing out the protesters' work?
Well, it's not the first time he's taken a sign inside, and we never really know where they end up. I mean, our other spot where we do live shots is actually over near his garbage cans, and he doesn't really take the garbage out very much lately, so we don't know where the signs end up, Ashley. Back to the question about the lawsuit. Basically, there was a sign very similar to this one. What if it was Cassie? It wasn't this sign, it was a different one in a similar spot. Chris Laundry, apparently he was bothered by that. He came out over the weekend, took the sign away, went inside. Now you've got one of the protesters who's saying, you're not allowed to take our sign. It wasn't technically on your property. I mean, that's kind of up for debate because it sort of is his property, but also sort of is the swale. And now they filed this lawsuit. Basically, Mr. Laundry will have to be in Zoom court on December 1st to sort it all out.
So from what I gather, it's like a $40 lawsuit. You know, usually that qualifies you for small claims, but he has to make that appearance. He can't just sort of settle it and make it go away. It just seems odd that we're going to be seeing one of the laundries making a court appearance in all of this, but based on $40. Doesn't that just seem ironic?
It does, and we'll see how this plays out. I mean, it's possible that it could get thrown out before that even happens. I think a lot of these people are just trying to make the laundry's life miserable at this point. So even if they know that it's going to get thrown out, they're just trying to sort of throw another wrench in this entire thing.
So I wanted to play some moments from 60 Minutes Australia. That's their version of 60 Minutes. They got an interview with Gabby's mom and stepdad, and it was extraordinarily heartfelt. I want to play the first part where she referred to how she wasn't so worried about Gabby going on the trip because she really thought Brian was going to protect her. Have a look.
I worried. I told her to be careful, be safe, you know, make sure to be aware of your surroundings, you know, don't trust everybody. But I felt safe because she was with Brian, and I felt like she would be okay. I thought he would take care of her.
How often were you in contact with Gabby while her and Brian were traveling?
I would say on average every other day or so, almost every day. She would text, she would FaceTime, send me pictures of where they were going. I loved getting the updates. I was in awe of what she was doing. It was just amazing.
You know, that was a pretty heartfelt interview, Brian. There's a lot of reaction to the things that she said in that interview.
Yeah, and the fact that she said that she thought Brian Laundrie would take care of Gabby, I mean, that really was just heartbreaking, especially because we know how all this turned out. She went on to say in another part, you know, that Brian Laundrie had spent time in their home, had played with her other children. It really does seem that they trusted this man.
It's amazing. All right, and then there was one more moment where she reacted. I think the way a lot of us reacted when she saw the body cam video of the police encounter in Moab. You know, we all felt, gosh, if only we could just be there for Gabby. She was in such rough shape. And this is how her mother reacted to that and told 60 Minutes Australia. Have a look.
It's just hard to watch. I wanted to jump through the screen and rescue her. And it's a shame that it ended the way it did, but it makes me sad.
What did you see when you were watching it?
I saw a young girl that needed someone to just hug her and keep her safe. I just felt so bad for her. I wish that she reached out to me.
And Brian, maybe one of the most heartfelt moments in that interview was when Nicole and Jim Schmidt, Nicole is mom, Jim is stepdad, were asked about the time, that time period where they just couldn't get an answer from the Laundries, and they were being completely ghosted by the Laundries. Nicole answered that, and then she also added something that just spoke to me and broke my heart. It was what she thought of Gabby was going through the moment that she died. Have a look.
I was worried probably day 4 and 5. I was texting her every day anyway, but I wasn't getting responses. By day 6, 7, I was checking her social media. I didn't see any activity. And I started calling her dad, and I was talking to Jim about it, and I said, I'm worried. And everybody was like, she's fine, she's fine. They're out in the mountains, they have no signal. And I said, no, it's not like her. The night of the 11th, when the detective came to my door to let me know that the van was in Florida with him, she also said that he had obtained a lawyer. I almost fell on the ground because I was just like, where's Gabby? And that was my response to that information. And I just went into shock. I knew something was wrong. I hope that she didn't suffer and that she wasn't in any pain.
Just hoping that at that moment,
that she was in a place that she wanted.
Unfortunately, they just cut the end of that off. I don't know if we can re-rack it. It's really important. If the control room could just tell me if you could just re-rack that last part where oh, rats. Unfortunately, our electronics just won't work. She said, and I think this is so important, that Nicole Schmidt said that she hoped that she wasn't suffering as she was dying, but that she instead was able to look at the beautiful mountains. And Brian, I think you saw that tweet from Gabby's dad, Joe, saying that they had planned to help her to rest in the air with that beautiful view in Teton Park.
Yeah, actually, I have to say that the first half of what you just played is what has stuck with me the most ever since I saw this interview yesterday. And I think the reason is because I spend so much time outside the Laundrie home, and I think some of us forget what happened when Gabby first went missing, and to hear Nicole Schmidt describe it, that she was trying to get in touch with the Laundries behind me for quite some time, and that she was being ignored, and she was calling over and over again. And then to hear her say that she fell to the ground when the detective came to her door and said they finally sent police to this house, and that when they finally got inside and were able to talk to the Laundries, that the only thing they would say is contact our attorney. That's information that we have known, but to hear Gabby's mom explain it that way and to think of what she was going through during that time, again, that's just the part that really got to me during that interview.
Well, and to see Jim his reaction as she was just about to deliver those lines. And then I couldn't imagine it for my children. I'm sure our viewers who are watching us right now, Brian, feel the same way. One last thing. Very strange occurrence in Kent, Connecticut. A number of police vehicles and a number of other vehicles, white vans and cameras showed up at the Appalachian Trail entrance, Brian. What on earth? Kent, Connecticut is a long way away from where you are.
I think it shows that this manhunt is stretching all up and down, the East Coast and really throughout the United States. I mean, you heard about this other guy, North Carolina, looked like Brian Laundrie. They storm into his hotel room, the U.S. Marshals, with guns drawn. They handcuff him, and then they do fingerprints and realize that he's not Brian Laundrie. But that, and then this example you just gave, it shows that they are taking these tips seriously. And it also makes you wonder, there was this focus on the reserve. Now, apparently, they're very, very focused on other areas, too.
There are movies that make it glamorous, like Catch Me If You Can, Bonnie and Clyde. But the real-life pursuit of a fugitive takes a lot more man-hours than the 90 minutes on the silver screen. And emotionally and mentally, it is draining for the hunter and for the prey. And thankfully, I have both with me tonight. Joining us now is forensic psychologist Dr. Michael Bork. He is the former chief psychologist for the United States Marshals Service. He created the behavior analysis unit for the Marshals. It was his job to help find fugitives like Brian Laundrie and Seth Ferrante. Seth spent 2 years on the run after faking his own death rather than face the consequences of going to prison for 20 years plus and having to rat out his friends for drug dealing. He was on the U.S. Marshals' top 15 most wanted list, but today he is the writer-producer of the documentary called White Boy about a drug dealer named Rick Wersch, currently streaming on Netflix. Seth, can you identify with what Brian Laundrie might be dealing with tonight, 1 month into being a fugitive, based on your experience of 2 years?
Yeah, I can definitely identify, with him. I think when I was a fugitive, the first couple months were the hardest, those first couple weeks into 2-3 months. That's when you don't really know, you don't really know what's going on. There's a lot of paranoia. You kind of think the cops are around every corner. You kind of think, the cops know everything, at first. It takes a while to kind of, ease into that lifestyle. So I believe right now he's very paranoid and really looking over his shoulder.
So if that's the case, does that last? Does the paranoia last, or do you eventually get kind of comfy in your new skin? And do you let your guard down?
No, you do let your guard down. It took me about 5 or 6 months, because after 5 or 6 months, if you last that long, you kind of realize, like, maybe law enforcement is not going to find me, if I don't slip up, if I don't, give them a break, because a lot of the times that's what they're kind of looking for. They're looking for that break. They're looking for that one slip up. And then once they find it, I mean, they're going to pounce on you.
I would think, Michael Bork, that in your, business as, creating basically the behavioral unit of the U.S. Marshals, that would be really important, wouldn't it? That waiting for that moment, almost letting them hang themselves, waiting for them to get comfy, or waiting for them to miss their old lives. It just sounds normal to me. Does that play right?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. You should consider joining our unit at some point, because that's exactly what we do. The deputies are out there. They're constantly putting that pressure on those fugitives. So they don't. They're relentless. They don't let up at all. They are, 24/7. They're out there looking for these fugitives. So it really is almost an unfair power balance in that they're waiting for the fugitives to slip up, as Seth said, or become a bit complacent, at which time all those pressures come to bear and they make an apprehension.
So, Michael, what do you think the first mistake Brian Laundrie might make, if in fact he's on the run? Listen, there's a couple of variables, right? He could be dead, but he could just be out there. What do you think, based on what little we know of him, what might be one of his first mistakes? It's
hard to say. Sometimes when we try to predict behavior like that, we we're really off base because it's the emotional ties that sometimes pull people back into their life and have them make a mistake. It's not so much the that they're need to find a place to get something to eat, or they're stopped by an officer for trespassing or something like that. It's wanting to attend a funeral of a loved one, or attend the graduation of their adult child, or something that sort of tugs at their heartstrings. And I think for Brian, his world right now is in a state of chaos. His support system is gone. He doesn't have the same methods to communicate with people. He doesn't have the same ways to alleviate stress. The ways he used to deal with stress have been taken away. So as the stress increases and his coping strategies decrease, it'll be interesting to see how that manifests, and I do believe he'll make a mistake in the next few months.
So, Seth, I found it fascinating to learn that your mom would send you brownies to a mailbox, which is just astounding to me, and that you also had a chance to speak with her on the phone about once a month via payphone. I get it from where you were that would be possible, but I can understand how the authorities didn't have eyes on her to see where she was mailing these things or to see the phone calls that she was receiving. How did that slip by them?
Yeah, they actually, the U.S. Marshals visited my mom once a month, at her home. And they would actually come and knock on the door, and say, hey, do you know where your son is? Has he contacted you? And my mom would tell them straight up. She would say, I don't know where my son is. But if I did know where my son is, I wouldn't tell you. So that was kind of how it went. But, yeah, it's like anything, man. Your parents love their kids. Like even Brian Laundrie, his parents love him. So I believe, they're going to help him, and they're going to do whatever they can to help him stay free.
So it sounds like you have some sympathy for them because you've been in that boat. Did you deliberately keep information from your mother so that she wouldn't be complicit or be exposed to harboring?
Oh, yeah, like I wouldn't give her my address where I'm staying or let her know exactly where I'm staying, yeah, because I wouldn't want her to have that information, because if she was in a situation, where they were pressing her, I mean, if she doesn't know anything, then she can't help them.
Dr. Burke, what would you think at this point, just based on your knowledge? And again, there's little knowledge about Brian Laundrie. It's not like he has a whole bunch of friends. He was a real loner. We've not learned a lot about him, even though we've wanted to. Where would you think he would be right about now? And I'm going to give you the break to think it over. Given the fact that there are some countries we don't have extradition treaties with, which I know a lot of criminals research before they, take off, not saying that he's not facing any charges, let's be clear, in relation to Gabby Petito's death. He is facing bank fraud. But I want you to let me know after the break where you think, based on your behavioral knowledge, he may have ended up or where he may be headed. Back right after this. Back now with Dr. Michael Burke and Seth Ferrante. So, Dr. Burke, I asked you before the break where you think Brian Laundrie might be now, given what you know in your behavioral analysis expertise.
Yeah, and I thought during the break, and I still don't exactly know where he is, unfortunately. I think, there's been some questions about whether he may have tried to slip across the border. And, that's a lot harder than people think, particularly when you don't know the language and you don't have any support system down there. You don't have any ways to make a living. It really adds a whole nother layer of stress. So my suspicion, and I don't have the information that my colleagues, have that are actively working the case, but my suspicion is that he's still here in the backyard somewhere, and that he's being assisted by either people who aren't aware of who he is or are in some way sympathizing with him.
Interesting you say backyard. There's a conspiracy theory that he's literally in the backyard under a planter, but I know you're referencing backyard in the United States. I only ask that because, if you think about being, in South America or Mexico, your dollar goes a lot farther. You can bribe people. People don't necessarily see the cable news that he's on every day here, so it'd be harder to get there, and the support systems wouldn't be there, but there'd be those advantages as well. Seth, in those first 6 months, I've read that you were depressed and you were paranoid, and you thought every day that you'd be arrested, that every day was your last. Is that the Rubicon you have to cross then, at the 6-month mark, and then it's a little bit more smooth sailing?
Definitely. It's just it's a mental burden that you really have to get over, because when you get in a situation like that, you said it earlier, your whole world just kind of, caves in and falls apart. So you really kind of have to put yourself back together. And I believe, in Brian's case, he's going through it now. He's hiding out. He's going through that mental burden, but at the same time, he's going to come to a point, if he stays free, where he wants to step out, where he wants to get his life back, where he wants to live. I mean, because we're human beings, and human beings like to live. So one day he's going to get to that point where he wants to live again.
Yeah, and you, by the way, you were on the run at a time when social media wasn't the big deal that it is now. You didn't even know you were in the top 15 most wanted on the U.S. Marshals list, did you?
No, I had no idea. I mean, I definitely knew I was a fugitive, but I had no idea. I mean, I was a first-time nonviolent offender for cannabis and LSD, so I still am not sure why I was top 15 most wanted fugitive, but they made me that, and they eventually caught me, and I paid the price.
So Michael, Seth just said it. Eventually, you want to live again. It's been said that fugitives don't lose their humanity. And so how long can you put off humanity? If you're Brian Laundrie, how long can you actually have the mental fortitude to say, yeah, this new normal's okay, I'm good with it?
Yeah, again, it's sort of easier said than done. A lot of people think, well, if I committed a crime, I'd be able to lay low. I'd be able to, just sort of give up my identity and give up all my friends and family. And certainly for some, it's easier than others. But we all have that part of us, the things that we enjoy, the people that we enjoy being around, the things that help us, just find enjoyment in life. And when those things are gone, no one really wants to go through life just living in those doldrums. People want to regain that a bit. And there again, that's sometimes where you see the guards slip. That's sometimes where you see the complacency, start to emerge.
It's amazing to look back, Seth, at the things that you did. You wanted to fake your death, so you piled your clothes up on a cliff with a bottle of liquor and cigarettes, and it made it look like you jumped into the water below. But what was your big mistake?
Oh, yeah, my big mistake was I staged my suicide on the wrong side of the dam. So actually the park rangers, the U.S. park rangers, dragged the river for 2 weeks, and when they didn't find a body, they declared my suicide a hoax.
Well, you didn't think of that? You didn't think, oh, dear heavens, it's only down there that my body would get stopped up on the dam. If I go on the other side of the dam, it would be out to sea.
Yeah, I mean, I was a young kid. I thought I was real smart, but that was the one detail, that I missed. I thought, I had it all together, but, obviously I didn't. Sometimes as young men or young people, we think we're smarter than we really are.
And you were right around the age of Brian Laundrie. So, Dr. Burke, that's a really good point. When you do what's called, and I'm going to look at it, mapping, right? You get the characteristics of the fugitive to predict, where he might be. You add the intelligence in there. It's interesting when you think about what Seth just said. He wasn't smart enough at that age to think of what side of the dam. That's got to apply in Laundrie's case too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Marshal Service and other agencies, the Bureau and other folks, there's entire teams of analysts that go over all these things with fine-tooth combs, and I mean they're amazing, and the connections they make, and the temporal analyses and the geospatial analyses that they make can really shed some insight that an investigator that's just sort of tracking down leads one by one they may not have that entire picture. And when you have a talented team of analysts, they can really draw a very interesting picture for those investigators.
So interesting. Dr. Burke and Seth Ferranti, thank you both so much for your time and for your perspectives tonight. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Coming up next, America's reluctant warrior, General Colin Powell, died today at the age of 84. While his military and governmental service are well known and well documented, there was another side to Colin Powell. And boy, was it ever sweet. We're going to talk about that next. We lost a good one today. General Colin Powell, 84 years old, and no matter what side of the aisle you are sitting on right now, he was almost universally loved in some way. He died from complications of COVID-19, but was also being treated for multiple myeloma, which is a blood cancer that makes it difficult to fight infection. Powell served as the 12th chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and he was the first African American to do so. He was also the 65th Secretary of State, and he was the first African American to do so. And before he reached those prodigious heights, he also climbed within the command structure of the United States Armed Forces, crossing several administrations. While his military and public service is, of course, what he's best known for, there were other sides to General Powell that you might not have known about, and you might not expect from such a tough and storied leader. His sense of humor and his playful side were known to the insiders who got to see him in his less official role. And I cannot prove that to you more than by just showing you this outtake during a commercial break with Gayle King and Charlie Rose on the set of CBS This Morning. Take a look.
Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, but here's my number, so call me maybe. Charlie, it was a lock. It was a lock. I didn't stop it.
Yep, that happens when you're in commercial breaks sometimes. You know, it's really important to highlight all that he did as well to improve the lives of America's children. And if you don't know about America's Promise Alliance, the foundation that bears his name, he was its founding chairman. The Alliance is a nationwide movement dedicated to America's youth and making their lives better. And as chairman, he recruited loads of celebrities with star power like, yes, that lady, Janet Jackson. What drove him to create America's Promise may have just come from his own childhood, which he described in his 1995 autobiography. Mine is the story of a black kid of no early promise from an immigrant family of limited means who was raised in the South Bronx. You know, President Biden once said of Colin Powell, he embodied the highest ideals of both warrior and diplomat. And George W. Bush had high praise for him as well. Colin Powell, someone everybody should remember. We certainly do.